Milo, it's a great pleasure to meet you here in this special place. Can you tell us where we are at the moment?
We are here at the depot in Leuven, my hometown in Belgium. This is actually, I walked over here, so this is very, very close to me. The closest stage to my house, and this venue we go way back. I have a long history with this venue. Long before I had a bigger audience, I was hosting open mics in the bar section of this venue. I performed here on stage many, many times. At one point there were renovations, and I was the first to perform in the newer version of this venue. And yeah, I really like it here. It's right in the middle of Leuven, which is in a university town, but it's quite hidden. So you don't really see on the square that there's such a big room when you enter through these doors. So it's one of my favorite places in Leuven.
Talking about clubs, the corona pandemic hit the club scene and the entertainment scene very badly all over the world. How is the situation in Belgium?
So it's not a good situation. There's the venues like this one. As you can see, maybe in the distance, they try to have corona-proof concerts, so they just very small with only very limited number of people, and they try to do it, but it's yeah, everyone loses money, I think, with these concerts, or it's not a real sustainable concept. It's good for the time being, and so yeah, the problem is, of course, that there isn't any perspective right now.
How did this crisis hit you personally?
Yeah, I was very lucky that at the beginning of the year, in February and beginning of March, right before the lockdown, I was able to play two concerts that I had been working for a very long time with an orchestra, one in Antwerp in Belgium and one in Amsterdam in Holland. And I'm so happy that I was able to do this because, yeah, it's a great, great memory to have on this year. And this year will be full of disappointments for a lot of people and stuff, but I'm so happy that at the end of this year, when I look back, that there's also some really nice memories, and those two were definitely highlights, not just this year, but highlights for my career so far. But then when everything kind of, when everything was locked down and everything stopped and concerts were being canceled, I just tried to be calm and focus on the fact that this wasn't just affecting musicians, but also affecting every single person, every job. And I tried to work on new music, what I like to do anyway. So I wrote a lot of new songs. I try to stay busy and try to be creative and stay positive. And most of the time that worked. There was also times where I was like, I started really missing. It's a little funny to say it like this, but there were many moments where I really missed being Milow, and the reason I say it like this, because there's no difference between me sitting here and Milow, but the fact that being on stage gives me my identity, not, you know, as a person and as an artist. And the longer I wasn't on stage, the more I felt, you know, an unrest. I was, yeah, I discovered again this year how much I need it. This is not just about, you know, that it's my job, but it's also my identity, and that this is something I think that many artists and musicians have. It's not only about, you know, paying the bills, it's also about the passion that we have and the necessity that we all feel. Like, this is not just a choice, it's actually, it's something out of necessity, it's out of passion that we do what we do, and we are who we are because we feed into the energy we get from being on stage and playing in front of people. And by taking this away this year, that made that clear to me. I also really had to find a new balance, and it's not always easy. And yeah, just like many people, I hope that things will get better soon.
What was the most distinctive experience you had personally in these days?
Many moments this year, and especially the first half of the year, that I will always remember. Made the strongest impression on me was actually when I was in Los Angeles in the weeks after George Floyd was murdered. And so on top of the difficult situation with the lockdown, and with just Los Angeles was the same as in Europe, you know, it was staying at home, try to work from home and basically most businesses and restaurants and everything was closed. But then on top of this, you get this horrible incident where this police officer kills George Floyd. And this was kind of like the final drop. And all over the US, there were protests and demonstrations because it's a structural problem and it's been going on way too long. And so at one point, the tension was really rising. And so we had a couple of days where I live where the army was in the streets. There were tanks, there were buildings on fire, there was violence, there was and just felt, and this you can't isolate this, what happened from the Corona situation. It was actually because of Corona that things, because by then it became clear that Corona wasn't affecting everyone equally, because that was kind of like the nice romantic thing that everybody was saying at first. Corona doesn't look at skin color or income, or it affects everyone the same way. But by then it became clear that that wasn't true at all. There was actually a lot of people disproportionately affected by the crisis. And then and I just remember it made a very strong impression on me, being in the middle of this, of a city, Los Angeles, with a very complicated history, with racial tensions and with the extreme gaps between the richest and the poorest people in the city.
Also in Europe, it seems that more and more people get upset about this pandemic, a little bit crazy sometimes. Do you also feel that in Belgium, and how to keep your mind clear in these times?
Yes, we definitely see this in Belgium. I travel, or I usually travel in many different countries, so I follow the news in those countries as well. And what strikes me is that there's so many similarities in the way that as a people, as a country, that people react with some people reacting like this, and then some people like this, and it's kind of the same. And there's a small part of me that's a sociologist. That's actually what I studied on the university back when I was 20. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see, there's always, this is of course a very strange time. This was already before the Corona, where a lot of people no longer believe in science, and the way that people get their news is also with Facebook and stuff. It's not necessarily always sources of news that are very trustworthy. So there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of fake news kind of in the middle with real news, and after a while people stop believing anything, or everything is kind of open, or like everything becomes this thing where that's what you say. Whereas I actually tend to believe, some things aren't up for discussion. Some things are just facts, and some things are science. And the confusing thing, of course, with something like this is what happens is that there were so many uncertainties and unknown things about COVID.
What do you think? Can music help in this kind of situations?
Yes, music can be part of the way forward. Absolutely, culture in general, and let's focus on music. I do feel, because last night, for example, I went to see a concert for the first time in a long time for me. I mean, I have played some smaller concerts the last few months, but I hadn't been to a concert, and I went to see a concert, and it was Corona-proof. It was a concert one amazing artist on stage by himself on a piano, a grand piano, and I think we're 150 people. And being there, even though it was imperfect circumstances, I had to wear the mask the whole time. We're all with empty seats, so it wasn't full. I had the best 2 hours in a very long time. As a music fan, I was moved. There were times where I had tears in my eyes. And I remembered again why I do what I do, because live music with an audience in a moment, I can only say it like this, it's so good for the soul. Like, it's so good for the soul. It inspired me. I literally made some mental notes about me as a musician, but also me as a person, because of this performance, and I felt it vibrated, and I think a lot of people who were there will take that with them, that feeling, something that moved them, that maybe gave them some ideas, and they will apply some of those insights, even though they can be very small, to the next days. And so that's really why I will fight until the last moment to keep the live music going, and also defend it, because I know at one point some people will start saying, but do we really need live music? Do we really need this? Isn't there more important things? But I will be in the battlefields, and I will say, yes, we do.
The 26th of October you come to Basel to play the live streaming concert, Baloise Session at Home. Is that a special concert for you?
Yes, this is literally the day I received the call with the invitation. I was so happy. That was my that was literally one of my best days, best mornings in a while. I don't know, it gave me so much energy, gave me so much hope. I have such great memories playing 2 other times at this wonderful festival. So I feel extremely honored and privileged that I'm invited back.
You already have a long friendship with Baloise Session. What is special about this festival for you?
Well, I remember, so the first time I played was actually Dionne Warwick played after me. So something I hadn't, the first time I'd been there, you never really know what to expect the first time, but it's such a classy festival. It's, just the fact that me as a back then as an upcoming Belgian artist could share the stage with someone like Dionne Warwick, for me that is right there one of the essences of Baloise, of the session of the festival, because just the fact that music from different backgrounds, is being brought together, that is so valuable, because as an artist, as a musician, it's so inspiring to share the stage with living legends. I just remember everything, all the details, everything in the details. People don't always see this, of course, how things are backstage, because they just see, when they're in the venue. But with Baloise, everything was so well organized, such sweet people. The way to describe, because I'm thinking now of my first memory, but I just remember feeling they made me feel so special. Yeah. And that sounds like duh, but funny thing is, like, sometimes that's not the case. Like, I don't know, like, they just really let you, like, very respectful, like, we love what you do, we're so happy that you came to play, and we're gonna try to make you feel as good as you can, so you can walk on that stage and do what you're good at.
Many other big stars played already in the history of Baloise Session. Is there one specific artist in the history of Baloise Session, if you look back, which inspires you or which you have a special connection to?
Well, because the list in the archive is so long, there's more than one artist that have performed there that have inspired me, but there's one in particular who had a defining influence on me as Milow, me as an artist, me on my music, and he performed at the festival in 2002 with Ryan Adams. And it's I don't know where to begin with him, but basically when I started listening to Ryan Adams' music, and this was I think I was 17, 18 years old, and I was very much on a search. I was playing music, I was writing songs, and I was playing in a band, but I was very much, this was kind of my coming of age period as a musician. So I was absorbing a lot of things, but I also was kind of looking for my voice, literally and more as a metaphor. So I had the stories I wanted to say, but I wasn't sure yet in which form I could say them, or in a way that was unique. And I will never forget it, but it was February 2001, and I was 19 years old, and me and a couple of friends, we drove to Paris, which is 3 hours and a half. We all got in a car, and and these were my friends that I was playing music with. So we got in a car and we drove to Paris to see Ryan Adams perform. at a small venue, Le Trabando. I think it was similar size as this, maybe even a little smaller. And that concert changed my life. I'd never seen a concert like this before, and I had seen many, many concerts before. But Ryan Adams performed, the way I remembered it was at least 3 hours. It was a rock and roll show. He had a band, an amazing band. They were playing, and it was incredible. But I also remember that halfway through the show, at one point, the band left the stage, and Ryan Adams played, again, in my memory, at least half an hour just by himself, with a guitar, maybe some harmonica. And the fact that he had all these different atmospheres and emotions in one and the same concert, for me, opened my eyes. When I read older musicians saying the best music was made in the 60s and the 70s, I was always like, well, yeah, you know, I was born in the 80s, so I like the music now. However, after Ryan Adams' concert, there was a kind of like a moment in me, and what I started doing is I decided to dive into the history. And what I did is I started with the great songwriters, and instead of, you know, starting with the latest albums, I just started from the beginning. I learned that and until that moment, I was maybe making it too difficult, maybe wanting to reinvent the wheel, and I discovered, you know, especially from people like Bruce Springsteen and Joni Mitchell, that you really only need a few chords, guitar chords, to tell a story, to write a song. And for me, that opened up a new world. And I'm not sure if I would have had the same journey or the same year in 2001 if it wasn't for Ryan Adams, who kind of, he was an artist. So I was 19, he was 27 or 28 then. You need someone local who's approachable, who you can afford a ticket to see, to then kind of show you in the direction like, well, this is where I was inspired, and so I started looking, but I needed someone like current and contemporary to show me that path.
What a great story. But talking about Ryan Adams is one thing, but let's have a look at it. In the Balba Session concert from 2002, I think. Let's just have a look. What do you feel if you hear this?
What I think actually right now is that this is 2002, so this is a year later, and this is more of acoustic setup. But I think now, 18 years later, that he was at his very, very best. This was the time where he was most inspired, where he wrote most of his best songs, and he was literally, just like in the 60s and the 70s, he was putting out 2, 3, 4 albums a year. As a music fan and me a Ryan Adams fan, I love that, and I got it all.
And when the father meets the son,
I love this song.
But she will always be the same.
And this is so, it's so simple, just a guitar and a voice, but he found a way, a unique voice, to do something fresh with that.
I think you brought us very special gadgets to this interview regarding Ryan Adams. Can you show it to us, please?
Well, this very dusty guitar is the thing that I brought that is connected to Ryan Adams, and it's this. So after the concert, the legendary, life-changing concert in Paris in February 2001, as a 19-year-old. After that concert, a couple of weeks later, I bought my first acoustic guitar, and this is that guitar. And so I had been playing music, but I was always playing electric guitar. That's kind of like in the second half of the 90s. I didn't hear any acoustic guitars. Acoustic guitars were something of the past, of the kind of the music that, you know, me and my friends, our parents listened to, but that wasn't a thing that I, from my generation, connected to. But then I saw Ryan Adams, who was, okay, like I said, 8 or 9 years older than me. I saw him play that amazing concert where he played electric, but also played a lot of songs in acoustic. And I was like, I need an acoustic guitar. And this is that guitar. And I say it's dusty because I had to kind of like look for it like in between like all the cases, and I had to open some guitar cases. Where is that guitar? Because I knew I had it, because I have this thing where I've never so far got rid of an old guitar instruments, even though I don't ever play this guitar anymore. I did write some very important songs on it, and it belongs to a part of my history. Yeah, this guitar will always, you know, I'm always gonna keep it. You know, I need to, you know, I need to maybe. It's not a very, you know, it was a cheap guitar because I couldn't afford one, but it was my own guitar, you know, and that's a special thing. Since then, I've never had a guitar with a cutaway because I never play that high on the, you know, I don't really need it, but it belongs to a part of my history, and so a part of me. So.
Do you remember where you bought that guitar?
Well, in a music store, and it was a very cheesy music store where, yeah. Since then, I know to recognize. Usually, never go into those stores anymore. But it was, I don't know. They make a lot of show about nothing a little bit, but yeah, I still.
But it sounds. It still sounds.
Well, nighttime let her through. I'm talking to you. I want to see her.
He's Ryan Adams. I played so many Ryan Adams songs. Man.
Fantastic.
Winding Wheel.
And do you remember the price?
When I said it's not expensive, this, I think I would say a 700 euro.
Okay.
But that was, I had to, you know, do student jobs and stuff to pay for that. And that was, of course, that was the most I have ever given on an instrument. As a professional musician, better guitars are more expensive. But yeah, I will always keep it. And I'm glad actually because of this that I found it again, and because just picking it up brings back memories.
Coming back to your live streaming concert, Balwas Session at Home at the Balwas Session, do you know already the set which you're gonna play?
Yeah, so I have a pretty good idea. I haven't finalized the final set list or anything, but I will, since we talk about Ryan Adams, there's songs of mine that reach the radio and stuff, and that I'm extremely proud of, and I would say that part of me is more influenced by, you know, like Crowded House, REM, like more the kind of timeless pop songs. But there's another part of me which, you know, brings me closer to Ryan Adams, is where I just love to tell stories, and it's also Springsteen, the solo stuff that Springsteen does, and I'm going to play. I will definitely also play some more famous songs, but I will also play a few songs that are very much storytelling that don't always get a room in a set list when I play with full band. So I will definitely go for some of these songs, songs that basically, yeah, are so dear to me and so close to me. And
why is it important for you to specially come to Basel for this concert and to play live in front of the stream?
Yeah, I believe, I have a strong thing where I've always done it. Like I believe in the energy of going somewhere, traveling somewhere, and then playing the concerts. Funny enough, it helps me to focus. If I had to travel to play on a show, my concentration is much higher because all the way I know why I'm there for, and when I enter that stage, when it starts, this is what I'm here to do. And now, you know, the last few weeks, sometimes I do something closer again, but it's sometimes hard to shake off a day when you had all these other things in a day too, and then, oh yeah, and now I have a show. And so I'm actually really happy that I'm able to travel, but I'm not gonna fly. I'm trying not to fly in these times, so I will take the long drive from Leuven to Basel. But that's okay, because literally in that drive, I will think about the concert, I will visualize it, I will talk to my musicians like, should we do this one, should we do this one? And that will all lead to a better show. I'm 100% convinced, and it's something that I've been missing, you know, lately, because of the shows are so strange and last minute or local or, you know, at home or something. So yeah, I'm really happy to get to see it. And Basel is a beautiful city, of course. So yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I know it'll be in October. You know, it's not the same as a beautiful summer day, but I'm sure it will give me some energy and inspiration again.
What is the message for your fans in front of the screens?
I want to say, like, Yeah, first of all, to the festival, thank you for inviting me again for the third time. That's such a big honor. That's something that no one can ever take away from me anymore. Yeah, to the Swiss, especially to the fans in Switzerland, thank you for basically back in the days, like in 2009, 2010, for basically lifting me up, because that's literally what they did. Like, it was one of the first countries outside of Belgium to welcome me with open arms, and also to offer me those incredibly beautiful stages and opportunities where I could actually rise above myself and grow as a musician, and that I will never forget. And at the same time, the Swiss are one of the best live audiences in my experience, and I don't say this just want to say thank you for supporting live music and to keep this going, because if there's a way forward, it will be also for a large part because of the Swiss live music fans. So thank you for supporting live music, and I hope to see you very soon.
Milow, thank you so much for this great interview. It was really interesting to listen to your whole biography about music, or a part of it at least. I'm looking very much forward to your live streaming concert, Balwa Session at Home, on the 26th of October.